Howdy, it's John Gator. This is Anatomy of a Shot for Mifune's Last Stand, the big end for Mr. Mifune. This shot is the beginning of a scene. We wanted to tell a story right away about how Mifune was basically alone, deeply, deeply in the shit, because he's now surrounded by many, many swarms, and he's trying to hold them back with, pretty much every ounce of skill that he possesses. So what you're looking at here is Steve Skroce doing everything he can to demonstrate the immense epic-like nature of this battle. You have a lot to look at. You have swirling swarms, you have individual sentinels battling at the feet of the APU robot. You have the full dock environment, including destroyed zones that are in flame. And you have the main actor, Mr. Mifune himself, doing his thing. We begin the shot with a patented Wachowski boom-up, which they like to do a lot in that movie Bound. So they still like doing these kinds of reveals, for horizontal plane to sort of show the action. And we finessed that a fair amount, actually. How fast that was going to come up, what distance away, what amount of visibility. Would we start from darkness? So in early stages, you can see, the architecture clearly, but we darkened it down a fair amount. The actual walkway that he's standing on is all CG, although it is derivative of the real sets. It's all based with components from the real set. And the entire dock itself is, it's a CG construction, but aspects of it were stripped off of live-action sets, and some of the miniatures, like the doors in the background, were photographed miniature doors that were mapped onto 3D shapes. So we got all the benefit of the detailing that painters and sculptors can bring to this process, and we embedded it into our CG version. And the first thing you see is that the sentinels are right on them. Okay, so you got like prime time on the left. You just saw there was one on the right that just passed by that was sort of ricocheting off. There's guys popping out in the air all over the place. So he's, executing the sentinel underfoot with one arm while adeptly killing others, pulling them out of the air with the other arm. In our pyrotechnics shoot, we would capture perspective libraries of shredding full-scale sentinel heads with debris flying off and flame pouring out, and there was a whole recipe for what happens when a sentinel explodes. This is just a preliminary test evaluating the torque of the pan axis of the motion base to see whether it could spin the carriage fast enough. The basic idea here is that the carriage, meaning the seat that the man is in, since it is surrounded by green, it's going to be stripped off and composited over the top of the animated APU. The frame that you see at the back of the carriage with the red markers is actually being used for tracking. There are little pulsing strobe lights that will help us find the position in space of the carriage. We stripped off the carriage part of the APU that allowed us to put that on a motion base that could spin and rotate its perspective by way of a motion file, and put it in front of a motion control camera that also was being driven by a motion file. These are machines moving quickly, in real time, and there's definite slop. It's a hydraulics-based system. This is like an analysis of the orientation of the camera to the carriage with the position of the APU's body. Of course, that's not the final arm animation. A lot of times what we needed to have absolutely correct was the torso and the sort of relative heights and distances to the camera. The nature of this scene sort of relied upon a great interaction between a real human and the robots. But this isn't superhumans. These are real people here that are attempting to manage and operate these robots. So we figured, okay, we'll photograph all the acting that goes on inside them. It was a common design that was going on between the computer graphics group and the production design groups. It's one of the cooler interactions that we had with the art department was in the construction of this APU. As the shot continues to boom, we get somewhat of a reveal of the dock, which is obviously overrun now with swarms, and the dramatic rotation of the beastie revealing our hero Mifune. It's a classic hero introduction.